Hello and welcome to another very special episode of MotorInc First. Today we're going to discuss the new Maruti Vitara. Like Grand Vitara was the larger car, you take the Grand out, you get the Vitara, except that I believe it's not called the Vitara. What's it called?
Victoris.
Do you like the name?
First you tell me, why did you call this very special?
It's a Maruti. It's like a brand new Maruti after like ages.
It's been a while, huh?
When the market leader produces a product, it's a very special episode, especially if that market leader has not done a lot of work over the last few months while everybody else was getting ready for Diwali. And it's an SUV, etc., etc. So it's a special episode.
And also you said that it is not the Grand Vitara. So what is it, in your head, what is it exactly?
Mini Vitara.
Okay. So
Is it?
It's a smaller Vitara.
That's what I'm thinking, yeah. Again, we don't discuss anything about the vehicles. I haven't seen anything of this car. I'm aware that the name is Victoris and General Victoris of the Maruti Suzuki Legends jokes have already been made, but I have actually no idea about this car. So I'm going to learn about this car. I suppose you would know more about the car than I do, and he knows everything about the car.
So this is the Grand Vitara. It is not a smaller Grand Vitara. It is the Grand Vitara.
No.
Yeah, it is the Grand Vitara. And it's fair that you should think that it is a different kind of vehicle, because even until I saw it in person, I thought that maybe it's not exactly the Grand Vitara, that it's something different. But when you see it in person, you realize it is the Grand Vitara. And I think of it as the Grand Vitara facelift, which has come to Arena.
But the Grand Vitara is on sale still.
Correct. So you remember Maruti Suzuki has the two dealership networks, Nexa
And Arena. Right.
So the Grand Vitara has sat only in the Nexa lineup.
Right.
So the Nexa showroom network is far smaller than Maruti's mainstream network, which is Arena.
Right.
So I think the scale difference is 1:6. So 500 to just over 500 to just over 3,000, something like that. Right? So it's a massive difference in reach between the two networks. So the Grand Vitara has sat in the Nexa showrooms, and there's been nothing of that sort in the Arena space. Right? You had the Brezza, but there was no Grand Vitara equivalent in the Arena lineup. So what they've done is, in the process, and the Grand Vitara came out in 2022.
So this is Ertiga XL6.
Yes. But even in that, actually, awesome. Great point. We can start with that. You remember how there used to be a Swift and a Ritz, which were effectively the same car, but slightly different body style, right? And everybody, when the Ritz happened, everybody was like, do you remember when the Ritz happened?
I don't remember when the Ritz happened, but I remember how many people said, wow, it is so fun to drive.
So they were the same, I don't know who said it was fun to drive, but okay. So back then I remember people saying, why do they have the same car in two different body styles in prices that were less than 10, 15, 20,000 bucks apart? Didn't make sense, right? And Maruti Suzuki has constantly had these overlapping models and prices happen all the time. But I think they've taken that idea and stretched it to its very limit now.
Okay.
Because this is the first time we're seeing the twins happen, which are effectively the same car.
Right.
No real difference.
So Romeo and Ertiga, not Romeo and XL6.
Yes.
We've got questions on this in questions from circles also.
There are differences right now, but the Grand Vitara facelift is not far away.
Right.
And you can be sure
That it will be even more victorious.
that it will now. Okay, awesome point again, because now the question is, by virtue of sitting in the Nexa lineup, how exactly will the Grand Vitara be more premium than the Victoris?
Bigger sunroof.
They could do that actually, but in more meaningful ways, let's say.
ADAS level 3 that you can opt out of.
Yeah. So they had to have ADAS level 2 with this car finally, right? With the Victoris, which was
Does it have ventilated seats, the Victoris?
Yes. And the Grand Vitara also had. So the Victoris
Which all seats were ventilated?
front wheel.
So the Grand Vitara facelift will have all seats ventilated.
That will feel like a giant leap. And that's the...
I'm just guessing, okay, I don't know any of this.
That's the sense out of this interaction with the Victoris. Because you can go in, experience the Victoris, and come out with two distinct moods. One is super happy and the other is super disappointed.
Oh,
Yeah,
extreme.
completely.
Okay.
Because if you go in and say that I just want a Maruti Suzuki, and this is now a cooler Maruti Suzuki. It's a Grand Vitara, but with a slightly better experience in the sense of it looks different. It looks slightly more modern. The cabin is done better. It has more equipment. So it's cooler. Then you're saying, I just wanted that Grand Vitara. Let's say I wanted a Maruti Suzuki, those sensibilities, and I don't care about anything else. This is awesome because the Victoris, while looking different, while having better equipment, while having all the same engine options and everything, and a few advantages as well because it has better fuel efficiency, better boot space with the CNG, it is also cheaper than the Grand Vitara,
Right.
right? At every variant.
And you can buy it in more places.
Yeah, and you can buy it at more places. So almost every variant is cheaper than the Grand Vitara. So it's like a no-brainer. Like today, if you're looking to buy a Grand Vitara, you'd think, why should I buy one? I'll just buy the Victoris. So it's like Victoris is killing it in that sense. So it's the very Maruti thing of going after value. Price it right. Give the right kind of sensible options. Make sure it feels, let's say, practical. Right? Get those kind of things, fuel efficiency, all those kind of things, nail those, done. But if you go in thinking that this is going to be Maruti Suzuki's step towards reclaiming leadership role and authority in the SUV space, and it will be trying to outdo the Creta, then that is not happening here.
Okay.
Right? And so therefore, if you say that I like Maruti Suzuki's, I like their sensibility.
Then you love the Victoris.
But I also want a Maruti Suzuki that feels modern, that feels richer.
That feels grand.
Yeah, it should feel grand, right? It shouldn't just have more equipment. And in that sense, I feel Maruti Suzuki today are in a slightly strange place where they have always been focused on great engineering, very reliable products, very practical products. But now they are pivoting towards experience. And it feels like they're in the first phase of that evolution where you tick things off.
Right.
Right? And the easiest thing to tick off are features. Right? So you are adding those in so you are comparable with rivals. So when you look at the features list, you're going to say, yeah, it now has everything that you'd get in a Creta. But will it have the experience that you'd get in a Creta, which is also at the end of its life cycle now, is the question mark. Right?
Okay, just in case you don't understand what was being said, we learn in steps. What he's saying is Maruti is making steps towards the experience where I have all the features together, but they don't necessarily connect together into the experience of, oh, I bought an expensive car, oh, I bought a middle-level car, oh, I bought a low-level car. That connection of all these features is not coming together effortlessly just yet. Because Hyundai, for example, has done this longer, when they add the same level of features, they work out how they interact with each other and create a sense of feeling in you, which is, oh, such a nice car, or oh, such a terrible car, whatever the feeling is. But they're working towards how do they interact with each other and what do they make you feel like. Maruti is one step behind it, where all the features have now arrived, and hopefully in the next step, they'll try to figure out how do they connect with each other and how do they make you feel, and how do I guide you to the feeling I want you to feel.
Because objectively, if you ask me, is the interior of the Grand Vitara not of the same standard in terms of the quality of materials and stuff like the Creta? By and large, I'm going to say no. They
It's the
are
same.
similar, right? Same or similar, like good quality of plastics, fit finishes.
Unobjectionable.
Nice. Yeah, so it's all fine. But somehow, the experience in the Creta is richer. And that's because of a combination of factors. Now, I think the Grand Vitara has always been this slightly stretched out car. So it feels more estate-ish or station wagon type than the square, tall SUV. Its proportions are like that. So it's also narrower. And you feel that in the cabin. So that overall experience has always been slightly more cozy, let's say. It's always felt a bit... the cabin has felt a bit dark, which is also something that they've fixed with this, with the Victoris, because now you have a combination which is a lighter color. But that color combination, the lighter color, which makes, and you have that same light color on the dashboard, on the seats, that is not available with the strong hybrid. So there are these I think strange things going on with the car in the smaller things as well, where you think, why would that happen? For instance, ADAS is there, but it's not there in the strong hybrid. It's only available with the base engine and with the automatic.
Okay, why?
So again, these are all the questions that keep coming. You're thinking, why would they do that? And then it's an obvious answer. They're trying to save something up for when the Grand Vitara facelift comes.
Got it.
So
Which is when? Just to close that
I don't
chapter.
know. I honestly don't know.
Your estimate?
I think should be maybe 3-4 months away.
So the weirdness between the Victoris and the Grand Vitara Spectrum, etc., is just a 3-4 month thing.
Correct.
And which is why Maruti is saying GV is very successful, but this is a 3-4 month thing. We'll manage this.
Correct.
Okay.
So, for instance, on the other hand, when they offer the CNG here, this is where they've debuted the CNG kit, which sits, the tanks, they sit under the floor.
Double tank.
It's one large tank.
Okay.
It's under the car. It's not even like it's in where the tire used to sit, right? It's not that space. It's underneath, right? So your boot is clean. It's a properly usable boot,
Nice.
right? Which was one of the issues with CNGs. So here that compromise has been taken away. You have more variants for the CNG available here on the Victoris than you do on the Grand Vitara. So there are all these kind of things. So you see where they're aiming the Victoris at. It's meant to go more mass than the Grand Vitara has. And I think and I hope that they make the Grand Vitara a more premium and a more desirable option when they bring the facelift.
Because now they have the option of doing it.
Correct. Now they have the option of doing that. Now, if we'll rewind to looking at the car for the first time. And when you do, the first thing that I think I was surprised by was the face looks very European.
Okay.
A lot of people I think have said looks like Skoda, you could call it VW, whatever. But the point is, it's a very clean, a very mature kind of look.
Okay.
And that's the newness of that face. The one thing that they've changed on that as an idea is like they've made the face more square because they wanted the nose higher up. So they've done that. But if you look at it from the A pillar to the C pillar, it's effectively the Grand Vitara. The skin on the outside is different, but the car's shape is the same.
It's very hard to change that part anyway.
And it's only past the C pillar that you notice some difference. So on paper, you'll see that dimensions are slightly different. The length is a little bit more, height is a little bit more. And information in terms of certainties are a little light here because I'll give you a parallel. The conversations were a bit strange. Do you remember the launch, the test ride of the AS200, the Bajaj?
Yeah.
Remember?
Yeah.
How whenever you would refer to the Pulsar NS200 or something, you'd be like, no, but this is the AS. You remember? Like Bajaj was so unwilling to compare this to the NS to the AS while they were effectively the same bike with different handlebars. It was a similar thing here. So whenever you ask, so how has the suspension tune changed from the Grand Vitara to this? But why are you comparing it to the Grand Vitara? It's a different car in its own right, right?
They just said that.
Yeah. So, and then when you'd say, okay, but the power figure for the hybrid system hasn't been stated in the brochure. So is it this? So what is the power figure? That's the same as the Grand Vitara. It was a very muddled conversation. And I think the idea to position it as a different product altogether was overriding everything. So having sensible conversations became very difficult. So everything was like you had to dance through loops of, oh, why are you comparing it to that? But it is this. So many things would come up in reference like that. For instance, while driving, the one thing that I felt distinctly straight away that made this feel different and better was the steering. Because the Grand Vitara in corners, you'd feel that the steering was vague and heavy. It wasn't a nice setup that way. Here, it feels lighter, it feels direct, it feels more engaging, engaging was not something I would have said for the Grand Vitara steering. Very steady, very predictable, but not engaging. Different. Now that is a nice feeling, right? So you want to know how it happens. Is the motor different? So you're like, can I now ask if the motor is different? So internal motor is different, tuning is different, all of those kind of things, right? So the conversations were...
So if you appreciated it, then they'll give you more detail. But if you don't like it, then it's not the same car, it's a different thing.
So it it was really very confusing having a conversation around this. So
Doesn't sound like a very victorious presentation overall then. At least in terms of information.
to understand, for sure, it was not a great experience. Um, and there were several things that I would say that felt improved and felt the right steps that needed to be taken. For instance, and I started the day driving the strong hybrid, and that's been my favorite pick in the Grand Vitara
Yep.
lineup. And we've spent a lot of time in that car. We, in fact, the first MotorInc shoot that we ever went for was to Leh, and we were in that car and going up into the mountains at the end of September when roads, weather, everything, so many issues. And going in a two-wheel drive, we were so unsure. But that drive just
Yep.
showed us what that car was capable of. There's so much respect for what that car does, right?
And coming back down to the Archa in the night when
Yeah.
Karthikeya finally lost all patience and said, you know what, I'm just going to go fast. There's nobody here.
No, because there was the worry that it would snow again. We had been stuck on one side of the pass for 2 days. And we had been warned that get out of here before it. And it was like the skies had gone unbelievably grey.
Yeah.
We had shot as late as we could and we had to get out before anything happened. So
Yeah, so
that
we
is why.
crossed, I think, Baralashla at dusk.
Yeah.
And then once the light went out, then Karthikeya's light went on. And he's like, I will show you Darcha. It's so fast, you won't believe it.
So we really learned a lot about that car and that drive, and massive respect. So that is the car I started driving with. And so the steering was one thing that immediately felt like a different experience. The one thing that I remember from that car, and even with later experiences here in Mumbai, was that the suspension could be noisy, especially at the rear when you're going over bumps and stuff. While it is always very controlled and very poised, it didn't feel polished, right? Now in this car, the suspension doesn't feel noisy. So there was immediately a sense of, this is a more polished experience while retaining that ability, right? So to that, it was clarified that they are using some different mounts. The suspension tuning is a bit different. So all those kind of things. So it came out, but it came out in fits and starts here and there, the information.
So it was like pulling teeth.
It was like a mystery you're trying to solve.
Hey, I love it. Can you tell me why you did it? And okay, here. I didn't like that. What did you change? No, it's a new car. Right?
So, exterior, we're really going to skip through this one a lot. Or should I do it any other way? Would you prefer?
No, we are okay. We are doing okay. So, since you're on the exterior, would it be correct for me to say that since I've sat with you on MotorInc First for the Swift, the Desire, and now the Victoris, Maruti is moving to squared off European exteriors? Because this is the third car in a row where you've said squared off, slightly European. In the Desire's case, it didn't go very well for the Desire because you said, is that an Audi? Almost. But are you seeing that there is now a more family-oriented in the sense, Maruti's cars are typically Maruti's cars, but can you connect the dots and say this is what makes it a Maruti car has always been super nebulous? Are you seeing a more...
I don't think you can still connect one to the other. Okay. Maybe in very, very small ways, but I can't still connect one to the other, say that this is, if you hit the badge, would you be able to say that they're from the same family? I don't think you can do that. Maybe between the Victoris and the Brezza, to some extent, you could do that. From the sides, especially. There is some sort of connection there. But other than that,
okay.
No. They're still, each one of them looks their own thing. And but at least it's cleaner. But there's a flip. So in the Grand Vitara, you could say that the face was the slightly awkward part and the tail was really good. I love those tail lamps. Here's the other way around. The face looks really good and the rear is strange. It has that arch-shaped LED thing at the back, which is the DRL and flows into the stoplights and all of that, which is kind of dotted rather. And you know what a comeback tail is, right? So it has kind of like that's what one of the differences in design is. Comeback tails are like, you have a swoopy silhouette and then it gets chopped sharp. And that's done for good aerodynamics, right? So so it has like that slightly comeback finish to it. And they say that is one of the big reasons why this car's efficiency is better than the Grand Vitara. because it's the small things like in the front bumper, there are slots for airflow. This is the design of the rear, which was done to optimize aerodynamics again. And these are the small things that have helped improve efficiency for this car, which is, again, the weight, we don't know whether it's more or not. They say it's roughly the same. Because this car, and this is another thing, that it is the highest scoring car in its category in G NCAP as of now.
Okay.
Right?
It's victorious on that front for sure.
Yeah, and B NCAP. So both the ratings came out pretty much around the launch. So it is a car that scored 5 stars. So you would think that, okay, has the weight gone up, etc., etc. But the point is that the weight they're saying has actually on a body chassis level is pretty much the same because they've changed the material mix. They've gone with the more high tensile material. I have the percentages, I'll put it up. I think from 36 to 43 or something like that. They've reinforced the side sills, the cross members, the A-pillar, all of that to improve crash test performance. And the obvious question was, it's going to come to the Grand Vitara, right? So
Different car.
yeah.
How can you give a straight answer like that for that?
Because it's the point, right? Like you said.
Oh, it's a good thing. Yeah, sorry, my mistake.
So
When you press on the body panels, do they flex slots and all?
you know what? Now the question is, you tell me, you try it out and you check.
No, but did you flex the body panels? Why? Oh, you already made a video as to why that is irrelevant.
Also, because they've constantly been improving this anyways. So I would expect if they had to, they would have done it. But now the point is, now that it has scored the highest, it's a 5-star rated car, but the scores that it's got are the most, as Vikas told me.
Yeah, so effectively think about it like this. If you get above 70, then you get a 5-star. For example, the highest anybody's ever gotten is, let's call it a 74. This car has gotten a 78.
So Vikas was telling me, "Arey, this is the highest now in GNCAP. It's become the highest rated, not just start, but highest rated in this category." I was like, "Are you serious?" He's like, "Yeah." And we were just discussing now what will people do, because this is a Maruti and it's now 5 stars. And in that, because
Now, I'll tell you what they'll do. They'll flex the body panels, cause a dent with their hand, which is probably possible if you put enough force on practically any car, and then say the rating is false.
yeah, that can happen,
Okay,
right?
we're joking about this, but there are 2 videos you should watch. One, it's something like how to judge a car, and you will see Karthik and a former colleague of ours. It should be available free to watch on the app and on YouTube. And the second is there will be a podcast episode called What Do Crash Tests Actually Mean? If you give yourself that, I'm going to say 1.5 hours, you'll be very clear about what the 5 stars actually mean, what they mean to you and your family, what you need to do to exploit the values that the 5 stars bring to your car, and most importantly, what they do not mean, especially what a 0-star rating actually does not mean and actually does for you.
So that's another one of those things that happened with this car. And what I was telling you that time was why Vikas bringing that point up was interesting was because you remember when the Verna got 5 stars? Because immediately then the conversation went to, oh, but look at its rating, how many points it got. It's lower than the Slavia or the Virtus. In this case, now what are you going to do? And all those arguments of Marutis being lighter than its rivals and therefore being unsafe and therefore having this compromise.
You know that you can't win this argument, right? As much as you'd like to try.
We were just in splits when we were discussing this. We were like, man, people are going to go berserk over this because they're going to have to figure out how to deal with this situation now, right? So anyways, and since we're talking about this, we've said this before. We have seen Marutis offer fantastic handling, fantastic ride. And the Grand Vitara has been one of those absolutely special cars in terms of its ability to deal with rough roads, its ability to be driven over long distances easily. And that same thing applies to the Victoris as well.
So what? It's still going to get trolled because the beauty about trolls is, you know, there's a saying, it says, what you do not know makes you invulnerable. Right? Ignorance is bliss ka next level. Like the victorious version of that is, what you do not know makes you invulnerable. So the trolls will find something else to troll.
Yeah, it makes sense. Like if you just refuse to accept another...
It's a very powerful way to start trolling is, I just refuse to accept yours.
Actually, that's the best way to be convinced about your idea, right? Just do not let anything else
actual knowledge come into this sphere.
Exactly. So so this body,
And again, if you think we are pro Maruti because we said all of these things, you do need to give us the 1.5 hours and watch both of those things that I already referred to. You will understand that there is a reason and rationale to why we reached the conclusions we did.
we are pro good cars and good vehicles. That's it. That's
And we are
all
pros.
we care about. So
I mean, not cars and me, him, definitely.
So I knew you would ask that question, and the thought had popped in my head that shit, I should have checked. But the point is, I did not, right? Because I never had thought about the Grand Vitara having an issue with this in the first place. I remember the Baleno used to have
But the Grand Vitara, if I remember correctly, is the B platform or the C platform that was already tested in Europe.
European TECT platform or something like that.
Whatever. And it was already
Global C.
Global C, right?
Yeah.
I don't know anything about cars, but my memory seems to still work. So the Global C was already tested in Europe and passed and etc. etc.
It's been a 5-star car over there any which ways.
Right.
I mean, cars that have been built on this platform have largely been 5-star rated cars in Euro NCAP. So it's been a solid platform, and that's what we've always said. So we've not been worried about cars on this platform, which includes the Grand Vitara.
Right. So we've got design, we've got the essential Maruti concern, which is crash test. Behind us, we've got an overview of what it feels like in terms of pricing and availability. So let's talk about more detail now. Can we start with engines?
Before we go into that, in the design part, I'll just wrap up.
Okay.
The boot, because there are variations there as well. So like the CNG version has the tank underneath the floor. So that's one configuration of the boot.
And the spare tire in that?
None of the cars have spare tires.
Okay.
None of them. In the CNG version, you'll find a small hump on the boot floor, which you can't usually see because there's a floor partition, so to speak, right above that. So you get a flat floor, but underneath that is that you can see the hump for the CNG that has been made. If you drive the regular mild hybrid, you'll see that under the floor partition is a proper storage space. Like I was just fooling around and I put my overnighter there to see whether it'll fit. It did. Then I said, okay, I'll put the floor back on. It fit underneath that. So there's massive amounts of storage space under there. So the utility of this new boot, which was a slight compromise in the Grand Vitara and especially with the strong hybrid, has been fixed here, has been improved for the regular versions massively, right? So this boot has become useful. But the third version is the strong hybrids version, which still doesn't get great boot space.
Got it.
Its boot space is like before, that slight step at the end where the battery pack is, and the slightly lower shelf after that towards the tailgate. And that's how it is now. So packing luggage into the strong hybrid will still require some configuring. And so that is the compromise there.
Is that extra large boot in the non-hybrid being marketed as the frunk trunk or something?
No.
Come on.
Nothing like that, but it's a very good boot. And in that, you have the option, if you do want to carry a spare, you could.
Okay.
Which means in that car, you have the option. If you look at the strong hybrid, all the ports are there in the boot floor, right? Typically where you'd have that little wheel through which you drop the spare tire and all of that. That's not fitted into the car. So you can't actually install a spare tire in the strong hybrid.
So you get the puncture kit type thing.
Yeah, that's what you'll get.
Got it.
Right? So that's
the boot.
That's the boot.
And Maruti is measuring up to the ceiling now, or they're still being
honestly, Shumi, I'll tell you one
it.
thing, I've stopped looking at the numbers.
What are the numbers, Karthik?
We'll test the numbers once we get the car here and figure out what it is like. What I will say is
So you're effectively saying you're rejecting boot measurements now because it's just all over the place and everybody's doing whatever the hell they want.
Because look at this. This is another example of not smooth information sharing, right? So how do you process stuff like that? So then it's just like even in Tata's case with the Harrier EV, right? The number is 500 liters. But 500 liters is still the roof. Now, what is it up till the seat back? What is it with the parcel shelf in place? It's incredibly hard to figure these things out, especially on the go when you, and this I'm happy about. We got the 3 cars that they had there for test. We drove all 3 cars. And I think, again, we did close to 250 kilometers in the day that we had the 3 cars. So we got a lot of time to drive and figure the vehicles out, even though we know that they are familiar, but being able to go out and really figure things out is awesome as always.
I have a newfound respect for scooters just now.
Why?
All the boot space is measured to the roof, which is the bottom of the seat. The numbers make sense.
Yeah. So I'm not sure about Maruti's numbers, what they've shared. But typically they have not shared the roof figure ever.
Good.
They've always shared till the
Good.
seat back.
That's a good thing. It's admirable and they should be given credit for it.
But I think everywhere the slight creep is happening, where trying to present it in the most flattering manner kind of twist things around. Like until I got there and I got into the car, I hadn't realized that ADAS is not available in the strong hybrid version. Because you'd automatically think this is the most premium option you have.
Then you tried to switch it off and discovered it wasn't there.
I was looking where the controls and I was like, oh, this doesn't have ADAS. I said, okay, no problem. That's a good thing in our box, right?
Yeah.
So that's that was fine. But these are things that you end up discovering along the way, and I guess because of that, we have a job to do. So before going any further, cabin, I'll run through quickly. I think the big changes there, I will talk about the ones, the mild hybrid engine version, because I like that the most because of the lighter colors. And that makes a significant difference for me, at least, because it makes the cabin look more pleasing, more relaxing. And in that, you'll see the dashboard has this nice little slab over which sits the infotainment screen. And it almost feels like a shelf. And then there's another gloss black panel on the passenger side, which is backlit with ambient lighting, multicolor and all of that.
But what's on that panel? Or it's just a...
It's just a gloss black panel with lighting at the back. So you can set it up and it looks a little cool. And so this is what I'm saying, right? Maruti is now making these steps.
Right.
These are their first steps in playing the features game. They did it with the Baleno. When the Baleno came, everything got the 360-degree camera, the heads-up display. And you have a heads-up display here as well. But it's that same heads-up display that we've seen there, which basically doesn't project onto the main screen. It projects onto the little panel.
Right. It's like a second screen.
Correct. Like a second piece of glass onto which it projects. And which is functionally fine. But if these are all experience-oriented features, they aren't the richest experience.
Understood.
Right? So the cabin design itself, I think it's smart. Is it something special? I'll admit that in the time that we drove the car and we had this conversation, it's been about a week or so since we did that. I kind of forgot what I felt about the interior.
That's not a good sign.
Yeah, it's not.
Yeah.
It's not.
Yeah.
Because it just felt all right. Nothing memorable about it. If anything, you'd say, okay, it has a new steering wheel, which is a nice design, and it's good that Maruti is doing things like that.
And the flip side of that is, there was also nothing so objectionable that it sticks out either.
Correct.
So it's an okay cabin.
It's Maruti, right? It works, so nothing is getting in your way. But it's Maruti. It's not feeling special either, right? So you have that 10-inch screen now, which is larger than on the Grand Vitara. But it feels exactly like how you would see it in the Grand Vitara in terms of the user interface and stuff like that.
Which, if I remember, it's been a while since I was in a GV, it's not a great screen. It's okay.
The screen is good. It's sharp.
As in interacting with the screen and all of that.
Correct. Does it feel like a new age experience over there? No. And this is where you see they've created a new. So you can see that they've tried to ensure that this looks and feels different from the Grand Vitara. The dashboard is different. The layout for the air conditioning system is different. But you can see some things which come across as inexperienced now. The entire stack of controls are for the air conditioning. Entire, right? There's one row, not too many buttons, so it looks nice, it looks modern. But at the end of it is the volume control. There is no shortcut for you to change your audio source. There is no shortcut for you to jump through menus of your infotainment. You can see that this is not.
So it's step one in the right direction, but it is step one.
And even in this, right now, I have not experienced this before. But the screen crashed on me 3 times. Which is something...
Which is not a Maruti thing.
Not a thing for me. I have not experienced that before. And which is why I will bring it up. So when you add all those things up, you think that yes, they are pushing. And all these changes are happening. But hopefully this will not result in an end user experience which is flawed or broken.
Right.
But there are cracks, right? And in that, there are other cracks as well. So the evening that I got there, before the drive, evening before, so there was this presentation, there was this screen out there, like a movie screen, and the cars were parked, and I wasn't sure what was happening, and the people were sitting inside. And then I realized they were doing demos, audio demos, because this has Infinity and Dolby branded audio systems for the top spec version. So when I went into the demo, I was sitting in the back seat. And whoever was sitting in the front, I said, "Can you just check the balance? Because it feels like the rear speakers. I mean, I'm not getting a great experience here." So we checked, and it was set at the right place. Okay, I said, whatever. Then the next day I drove the car and I thought it was the first car. I thought it was my phone. I thought it was my music app. And then went to the next car. Then I tried different apps, all of that. The sound system, for all that it's being touted to be, today, if you ask me, as an experience, is not where I'd expect it to be for anything that's being branded as such, and especially considering the competition that you have today. This is, it has the right names, but it doesn't have the right experience. And I was talking to some other journalists there. I said, did you have this? And kind of like I could see flashes happen that, oh, right, you know? And then somebody said that, maybe you're supposed to use the demo and maybe you're supposed to use this kind of music file and all of that. I said,
That's not how customers live with their cars.
I've not done that for any of the cars. At the most, what we've done when we're testing audio in cars, and we do that regularly, is that we make sure it's the high-res file, we make sure it's downloaded on our phone, so that streaming is not making it an issue, and that's about it. How does it play off the phone? The only variation that we've tried at times, because we've seen sometimes it can make a difference, is cable connection or wired connection. Sometimes via Bluetooth can be different from what it is via Apple CarPlay. We've tried those out as well in some cars, just if we felt that the usual way of using it hasn't worked out the way we expected, which I tried in this also. But so again, it sounds right. It has 8 speakers or whatever. Basically, it has 2 more speakers.
So it looks right, doesn't sound right.
Yeah, correct, sir. The specs sound right, but the experience of the sound was not right. Okay. Space. It's never been a car that felt large on the inside because of the width aspect of it. But it's always been comfortable. And I think in that they have made certain improvements. The seats themselves, the cushioning has improved. And when we drove the Grand Vitara, it didn't get power adjustable seats.
No.
And this gets 8-way power adjustable seats now. So right, the tilt adjustment.
Nice.
And they brought this update even to the Grand Vitara a few months earlier.
Okay.
So, and this I'm bringing up because the Grand Vitara's driver's seat lacked under thigh support so much that when you braked hard, you always had this feeling that you're sliding forward. I did not like that. And I'm short, right? So it's a sensation I always remember. But they seem to have fixed the cushioning, and now you have the adjustability of the seats. And even the cushioning at the rear, slightly firm, which is good. And as before, enough room for adults, but with the sunroof, headroom will be a compromise, especially if you're tall. And yeah, 2-step adjustment for the seat back angle, those kind of things. So all of that is there functionally fine. It's the frills that will not feel as special as they sound on paper. That's the cabin. Right?
Is it a quiet cabin?
Great. Next part. So I spoke to you when I hit the road, the steering. I did ask them, have you done anything to improve the sound, the NVH aspects of the car? So the one thing that came up, which is related to the sound system, is because this is such a strong sound system, right? With a lot of bass, the door cards had to be made of a thicker grade of plastic so that they could handle the bass and whatever other adjustments for that were required. So that inherently has done some work towards improving the sound insulation. And on the road, you will feel that it's better, but distinctly, is it like a dramatically different experience? It's not there. Because we were driving outside Jaipur, so we were on the highways and quite a few broken sections of road. So you can feel and you can hear the road noise coming into the cabin, the wind noise around the A-pillar, this kind of things coming into the cabin. So it's not like this super quiet cabin. It hasn't transformed into that.
Okay.
And I did wish that it would have made that step. And in that, I will also correct myself, thinking that, oh, okay, maybe not for the arena one, maybe for the next one.
Fair enough.
Right?
Yeah.
We might be asking for too much, but still.
But I think if you look at Hyundai as a competitor to Maruti Suzuki, they have worked on the quiet cabin thing actively, and they have reaped quite a lot of advantage from it, because I do remember you talking about 2 or 3 Hyundai saying it's an unusually quiet cabin, and that really changes your experience.
Unbelievable. And since you brought up Hyundai and the Creta in this, which would be the rival, it is almost incredible how the Creta can mean such different things to different people. It's literally like that story of the blind man feeding the elephant and looking at it completely differently. The Creta can be a family car. The Creta can be an enthusiast car. The Creta can be a very practical car. It can be like a safe pick. All of these things. And it's the same car. Right? It's because of the different options they have. They have the inline also for the enthusiasts. But they also have the core characteristic of the car. And I feel that is the shape of the car. That's the sound insulation. It's how they've configured the car, right? The suspension. In some ways, we say that it becomes difficult to size up whether the Creta is right for you because, let's say, one spec may not be a great travel car.
Right.
But another might be. So you have to figure that out. Whereas with the Grand Vitara, it's like, take it, all-rounder. No matter which Grand Vitara you take, all-rounder.
Right.
In terms of usability. What you will get varying amounts of is punchiness. Right?
Yeah.
Because the base engine is tame, borderline boring, but it's smooth. And why I will not complain about it, and you could complain about it, but why I will not complain about it is because this is a mild engine. But when you want to make those small adjustments, which is what you typically do wherever you're driving, whether you're on the highway or on the city, engines that don't have that response in that first tap are the ones that frustrate you and tire you. This engine does not do that.
So it's responsive, but it's not...
it's not deeply responsive.
It's not like a extroverted engine.
Correct.
Okay.
So this engine has always been like that. And so whether you drive the automatic, it will travel fine, but it'll never feel zippy. It'll feel adequate.
Got it.
That's been its mantra. I'll do everything. I'll do it at a decent pace. And I'll be fuel efficient. I'll be reliable. That's what I am.
Got
right?
it.
And you get it with the CNG, which is, we've not driven the CNG version, but slight drop in power and torque with that. So it'll be slightly milder to drive. But you get it only with a manual, so you'll be able to work around that better. I did drive the manual as well. And automatically, I enjoyed driving the manual more because clutch is light enough. Gear shifts are really nice. So you enjoy that. You know how Maruti always manages.
Maruti gearboxes are super godlike.
Right?
Yeah.
So
does it have an infinitely long third gear as usual?
So the funny thing about this combination has always been, and why it's kind of like a trip, is because the manual is the one you won't recommend to somebody who's spending a lot of time on the highway. Because at 100 kilometers an hour, it's sitting at near 3000 RPM. So it's always like, right? So it's the 6-speed automatic that's actually
works
more,
out.
that works out, feels more relaxed on the highway, and is also a bit more fuel efficient there because of that. So it's a very funny thing between the two setups of this engine. So if I liked the manual, like if somebody just wanted to go buy a Grand Vitara, I would say go buy the manual, right? Just go buy it because A, it'll be affordable, it'll be fuel efficient, and the suspension setup I think ends up feeling the nicest in that because it's the lightest. So I feel it has the slightly more gentle feel to it, but still with the control.
Right.
So I really enjoyed that part about it. The automatic had a bit more firmness to it, and the strong hybrid was probably the one with the firmest initial feel.
Right.
But after that, it would absorb and stay controlled and just like you think competent and that just pops in your head saying that this is competent. So to drive all three cars, okay, in one sense, I think I felt this time around that the tune for the suspension was most consistent. I don't remember earlier when we drove the mild hybrid and the strong hybrid that the base engine, the mild hybrid, felt as competent. I don't remember that sensation. This time, there are differences, it's mild, but would you think that I've traded down by choosing the mild hybrid on the suspension?
So when somebody asks you, should I buy this Victoris or that Victoris, at least the suspension tune is not a major thing to think about anymore.
I wouldn't think about it. I say just get whichever one you want, which engine works for you, go for that. That's not a thought in my head.
Understood.
Right? So...
comfortable? Comfortable?
Yes, always been. The seats have been spacious enough.
No, suspension-wise?
So it's still that same nature. And this was probably one of the things that I thought would change with this car as it's going more mass as well. That it would have more plushness to it, that initial stroke, which has been the Grand Vitara characteristic, so to speak, that it'll feel very stern at first and then just absorbs all the big stuff. So it's like this strict parent who, will fire you off all the small nonsense that you do, but when you really screw up, it'll be like, don't worry about it. It's like that kind of a car. I thought it'll be a little bit softer, but it's not done that. It's like literally 19 20 difference if there is any. So I had thought that would happen, but it hasn't.
Okay.
Is it a problem?
No, I think you're classifying it as more as room for improvement than an actual issue.
I'm thinking of it as that if this had to become like a more wide experience car, that softness would have been good because the control is already plenty. It's plenty. So for this to feel like a more welcoming car for more people, right?
You wanted a little more softness and
Little
pliance.
bit. I would want that.
Understood.
Even as I think about it for myself, right? Do I need that kind of sternness on an everyday basis? I don't. Most people will probably use it.
In your childhood, you might not be able to use it, but now as an adult.
My parents slacked off. Yeah. So I think that little bit more sense of plushness was something that I expected, having had seen that it's not there. Is that the reason why I feel that I'm kind of disappointed with the car? No, I'm not. I would have liked it to be better.
Understood.
But I think the sound insulation, I would have liked to be much better. I would have liked the sound system to be much better. I would have liked the cabin to feel more.
AirPods 3 Pro 3, bro.
Yeah.
Please don't. Headphones in a car is just bad news, no matter what you're using them for.
So, so that was that part of it. Engine specifically, strong hybrid is still lovely. At startup, as before, that 3-cylinder, when it wakes up, is there. And you're always like, I wish I didn't have to put up with this. But once you start driving, you just say that, man, this is so nice. Because, the beauty of that engine is that you don't realize how effective and effortless it is. Like on the highway, you'll think 116 PS, what the hell, what is it going to do?
Yeah.
But without any stress or strain, it just zip.
Yeah.
It just goes. And the fatigue just doesn't rest on you. It's like water. It just flows, man.
Yeah.
So that part of it is just beautiful again.
Have they changed anything at all on that front?
It's the same.
Because it was such a good thing in the first place.
So, and then on the other
Man,
hand,
it's like getting information about this car from Karthikeya is just proving to be so hard.
I don't want to share, okay? It's mine. And honestly, I might just not say anything right now because I am also confused at some levels because it's like we didn't change anything, but of course we've tuned a little bit because,
I'll tell you what we can do. We can try this on MotorInc First. Wherever you are like making assumptions and interpolations to reach a result.
Make stuff.
On this corner of the screen, you put a big red dot. And the red dot indicates we don't actually have information, but this is the best that we know. And whenever we are super confident, then you put a green dot to say, this they told us.
That'll be fun.
I think that'll be fun.
Just go with the flow. Yeah. So I think the suspension tune has remained exactly the same. It's the bushings that have changed. That's about it.
Nice.
That has
What a
created
precise
that.
answer.
See how much that helps, no? It's straight like boom. Okay, done. It makes sense.
So just to do the engines and summarize, strong hybrid as lovely as ever. Comes with automatic and manual or just
Strong
automatic?
hybrid has always been just automatic. Is that
Just double
ECVT?
checking. Just double checking.
That's right.
Then comes the non-hybrid.
Yeah.
Which you said is an adequate engine, very competent, etc., etc. Better as an automatic, fun as a manual, but you won't recommend the manual more than the automatic in this case because the automatic overall works better with that engine.
Correct.
CNG, you haven't driven one, but you will make the same compromises, manual transmission. That's how you will adapt to the lower power or whatever it is. Right.
And must stress that the hybrid is an emotional decision, right? Because when you consider that you're paying 2, maybe 3 lakhs more for the hybrid, strong hybrid over the base engine, it's like, it doesn't make any sense. And you're right. For most people, it will not.
Right.
You'll have to clock way too many kilometers to recover that additional cost that you've spent on the strong hybrid. But like we always say, it can be the experience.
Yeah.
Right? And that experience is different.
So, I'd give you a way to process this. Think about the 3 lakh rupees odd that you would spend on the Victoris Strong Hybrid as the joy of driving the car expense. If you want that joy, don't worry about the fuel economy and all of those things. Leave that aside because that math will not work out. If you think it is that joyous enough an experience, pay the 3. If you don't think that joy is a part of this SUV type of thing, just don't get the Strong Hybrid.
Yeah. So, yeah. And I think for most people who are just thinking from a practical standpoint, the CNG today from a cost efficiency standpoint is just going to be crazy because I think that tank can take 9-10 kilograms.
What is it? Cheap natural gas?
Cheap natural. It works. That also works.
Yeah. And there's no ethanol in the CNG, right? Just double checking.
Don't give people ideas. Double whammy. So, yeah. And so you'll get the efficiency, you'll get the boot space, which is great. So, I mean, you get a solid package with that car. And yes, about the CNG, the one thing, there's the exhaust pipe that's been routed around the tank and it looks low at one point. And obviously you think that that's compromising ground clearance. But as per Maruti, the ground clearance that's not the lowest point. So that is not going to be an issue.
The lowest point is the lack of information.
What is the ground clearance? The same.
And what is the actual number?
I think it's 200 something, 200.
They gave you a number?
No, I'm just pulling it out of my head.
Because I think Tesla is the only people who are not informed that if you make an SUV in India, you do not give out ground clearance figures. I mean, what's wrong with you people?
So I think 208 or 206 or something like that. Okay. Anyways, good ground clearance.
Yeah.
It's always been good. I mean, the ground clearance has not been an issue. The last thing, sunroof. I decided to be brave when I said, okay, I'll use it with the sunshade open because that's been an issue with the Grand Vitara.
Okay.
And this is Jaipur. It was clear, it was sunny, and after some time I'm like, I think I can feel it. I could feel it. Like you can feel the heat over here. I said, okay, enough.
So there's no heat rejection or anything done to the glass?
It's not good enough. That's always been a concern with the GV, that it allows too much heat into the cabin. And
GV has too much UV.
Yeah, GV
and IR.
And so this is the same setup, that panoramic sunroof with the sunshade, which is a thin. It doesn't let light in. You won't see. I've got a picture of that, right? Because it looks thin, so you think that it'll allow light to leak in. Light doesn't leak in, but heat will come through.
Got it.
But the good thing is that Maruti has made that an option. If you're buying the top spec variants, there are option variants. So I think ZXi option, ZXi Plus option, where the only additional feature is the sunroof. So you can buy the top spec variants without the sunroof on the Victoris. And that in itself is a reason to buy the Victoris.
Vikas was there?
Vikas was there.
What were his comments on the optional sunroofs?
Something like, we were actually talking about all the crash tests and all, and we were on the same day. So we were hanging out in the evening and we were talking about the crash test ratings and how that's going to be.
No, I want to know specifically because Vikas introduced the idea of bachche sukhane ke liye sunroofs. I want to know, Vikas was there, he saw all the sunroofs being optional. What did Vikas say to that?
With all the motorcycle rides happening, I think you'll meet him before me. You ask him now, because this one I've not asked him.
Vikas, if you're watching MotorInc First, I want to ask you this question.
The sunroof aspect, it's good that they've solved it in this way.
Good. No, it's not enough credit is being given to manufacturers who make sunroofs optional. They are useless in our country outside of your seemingly perception of premium or whatever. Most people use it to stick their children out. And to me, the solution to that is actually to not have the children rather than do this to your children. It solves many more problems.
I'm slowly remembering some small things, obviously. The driver's instrument cluster is also a digital unit, fully digital unit now. A larger one. There used to be a digital one for the Strong Hybrid earlier.
So now it's a 7-inch.
Yeah. I don't know the size, but it's a bigger one. The funny thing about that is, I think of that layout as exactly as the Kiger's layout, the Renault's.
In your memory?
No, it's that. If I show you, I shouldn't have told you guys. I should have just put the Kiger's.
You can cut it later. We can do this again and you say, tell me which car this is from.
Okay, we'll anyways put it. You can see these two images.
One of them is the Victoris. So tell us which one is the Victoris and which is the other one.
You tell us. It's like that. So the graphic for it is very similar. So the screen, again, I think those kind of details they'll get right. Like screen is sharp, readability is good, all of that. But does it feel as well packed with information or accessibility of all the features that you'd want? No. For instance, it has TPMS. Okay, now it has TPMS on all variants except for the base, which is still a step in the right direction for Maruti. Okay, since we're here, the VXI variant is a great variant.
The Victoris VXI.
Yeah,
Sounds good too.
It's a great variant. Anybody wanting to buy one of these, you'd say start here. Except it still doesn't get a rear wiper and washer. And you just think, for a company that's gone through this entire wave of not being responsible in terms of safety and has now had to fight that entire wave by giving in to doing the thing that they did not want to do, would avoid these kind of things. But I just don't get it, where as the largest car maker in India and selling so many hatchbacks, how a rear wiper and washer on a car like this, which costs over 11 lakhs to start off with, doesn't get that. So anyways, the point is...
It's because market research says nobody's looking in the mirrors and looking behind. And now we are in a 5-star car, so why should we bother?
5-star rated car ka to dar wahi hai. But, okay, back to the TPMS. So the TPMS is only a setting screen, in the sense that you go into the settings menu, you go to the TPMS section and you press on that, and then you'll get the readouts.
So it is reading constantly.
It is reading constantly.
But there's no place to display it.
You can't keep it there. The second you want to use anything else, you're out of there. You can't see TPMS again. You have to again go through settings, go through that tree, and get to the settings page of TPMS. So you're getting what I'm saying about them doing these things and not having that naturalness to it. These are the small things. These are the small things which make you think like, what? And then I was speaking to some engineers. They said, but no, it will tell you when you have a flat or you're losing pressure. So I asked, okay, so what is the warning system? I said, if it drops 2 psi below stock. Or what if my tire pressure is high because it's hot and I have a cut? Then
4 psi below stock.
So basically, what I would want by default
is I can see the numbers.
I can see the numbers. I know where I'm at. Right?
Yep.
So those kind of things are just kind of missing. Ventilated seats. I'm just bringing that up. I'm just trying to round up all the small points that we had. The seats are leatherette and fabric in the center. Good. And the ventilation function felt really powerful. Really good. Really like that. The backseat, I told you, the support feels really good. What is missing still are sunblinds for the rear. I think that is something that a lot of people now look forward to, especially with ban on sun films. These windows are tinted, so you do have a heat rejection. There is some noise around they are tinted, they're not tinted. In fact, I was playing a personal tester for a friend of ours, and he was messaging me while I was on the drive. I'll talk about that in QFC as well. And he was like, oh, it looks like it doesn't have tints at the front. So I sent him a photo of the window partially open and you could see the tints. So the windows are tinted front and rear for heat rejection. So that's there. But sunblinds at the rear, I think from privacy and just when you're chilling, it feels nice. And most of the cars now in this segment are ending up getting things like that. Yeah. What else?
Are you done?
Yeah, I think so. You go.
All right, so almost an hour into this episode, here is the quick summary of the Maruti Suzuki Victoris. The first thing you need to know is this is effectively the arena equivalent of the Grand Vitara, but it comes when the Grand Vitara should be due for a facelift. Kartikeya's estimate is 3-4 months from now, and therefore it can feel odd like, hey, there's already a Grand Vitara, why are we making a Victoris? The Victoris is going to a completely different sales channel, is important, and the Victoris is arriving with new ideas which will probably go to the Grand Vitara facelift next, is the other important thing about this. This you should understand. What is common? The powertrains are more or less common. We did not drive the CNG, but it seems to be the most efficient option if you're not really interested in driving, but the fuel economy, etc. is super important to you. The second engine is the 4-cylinder non-strong hybrid engine. This has always been a very competent engine, not super enthusiastic, but it does everything that you need to. It will overtake everything. It's reasonably smooth. In this engine, you can buy the manual if you want, but if you're out on the highway, Karthikeya says the automatic will actually work out better. The third engine, the engine that we love, is the strong hybrid. It starts up, you have the 3-cylinder going like this. After that, it's a really smooth and effective car. Karthikeya says this is an engine that is easy to fall in love with, but be careful why you spend extra money on the strong hybrid. For the joy, it makes sense. For the mathematics of I paid 3 lakh rupees extra, here's the extra fuel economy, it may not make sense. Be careful with this, but that is the nicest engine experience in the Victoris and in the Grand Vitara both. Now, the design has changed. Maruti has done some squared off, slightly European looking cars in the past. This is one more. It sort of looks closer to the Brezza than the squaring off that they did for the Swift or the Desire, but it looks good from the front, maybe slightly odd from the back and from the side. If you ignore the absolute front and the absolute back, you will be able to see the Grand Vitara in the silhouette in the middle. But it's a good looking car, especially from the front. And some of these changes, Karthikeya is hoping, will also come to the Grand Vitara in one form or fashion, which has a much nicer looking rear end, but the front end could now do with an update, is where he's coming from. Inside the cabin, lots of changes, lots of features being added, but Karthikeya is not convinced that all of the feature additions are creating a much higher experience. It is creating a more valuable experience in terms of you're buying more for your money. So fantastic ventilated seats are on this car, the screens are larger, etc., all of that, but will it connect together and give you the premium experience that, for example, a rival like the Hyundai Creta gives you? Karthikeya thinks they are still 1 or 2 steps behind that, and Maruti really needs to work on that. Experience the car for yourself, because it is a significant change as Marutis go. And he said right at the start, if you love Marutis, I think you're going to love the Victoris. However, if you compare this car as a priced rival to its alternatives from other brands, then maybe you're not going to be all that impressed. And that's how this game is going to get played out. In terms of sales, the Grand Vitara has been very successful for Maruti. And I think this car is also going to be quite successful for Maruti, because the fundamental tenets of why it is so successful are not changed in any fundamental way. But you're going to a 6 times larger sales network. So logically, this should just sell a lot more than the Grand Vitara can. That's the overview of the Victoris. If you have specific questions, we'll tell you what to do right at the end, because next we're going to go into questions from circles. If you're watching this on YouTube, we will skip ahead to the end. Questions from circles are questions from MotorInc Circles, which is a part of our app. And these questions are being answered to those people on the app as part of this video. If you'd like to watch that, using Circles is completely free. There are owners there, there are enthusiasts there. They're all usually super thought through, super intelligent and helpful. You can ask questions and help other people's problems too, including ones with the Victoris. Circles is free, the app is free, there's no reason why you shouldn't be there. And now let's get ahead to questions from Circles. If you see the length of this video on YouTube and compare it to the app, you're going to be a little bit shocked at how much the difference is. Are you ready, Karthikeya?
Let's go, sir.
Done?
Yes, sir.
All right, that was a really long episode. There was a lot to discuss, and I hope that we've covered all the points that we needed to. If we haven't, please do leave us a comment. You can do this anywhere you like. We usually respond in this order. The app goes first. And the primary reason for that is the app is a conversation system, not a comment system, which means you can comment, then we can have a response, then you can track the response, and we can have a longer conversation there. You will also discover that the MotorInc app, we are so happy about this, is full of really, really interesting people, including owners, including prospectives, including people who are just enthusiasts and people who are non-enthusiasts but driving and having a lot of fun with their cars. And the combination makes the responses that you get to your questions very, very interesting. If you're on Circles, please do make time to participate in other people's questions, thoughts, and challenges also. Helping each other is how this whole thing grows. And now, I think we've had enough, and we will see you on hopefully a shorter episode and a crisper episode of MotorInc First. Not that I'm saying this wasn't super crisp, this was just very long. But at the end, this is the end of this episode. I feel victorious, which is the exactly correct spelling of that word. Thank you so much for watching.